Good day, sir. I am Zafra Cindy, and today our group will present our topic, Philippine Politics Then and Now. As agreed, the group will focus on post-war politics' primary source, which is the 1987 Philippine Constitution. For the comprehensive description and summary of the written document, the Philippines has a total of 6 constitutions since the proclamation of independence on June 12, 1898. The 1987 Philippine Constitution is a product of people power EDSA revolution of 1986, which ousted the authoritarian regime of President Marcos. In the post-EDSA era, the primary consideration of the administration of President Corazon Aquino was focused on restoring democracy and rebuilding democratic institutions. The process of drafting the 1987 Constitution was guided by this goal. On March 25, 1986, President Aquino issued Proclamation No. 3 and the exercise of revolutionary powers, nullifying the Marcos-era Constitution of 1973. The preamble of 1987 Constitution, which recognizes the Filipino people as sovereign, the government as embodying the people's aspiration, and the objective to promote common good and secure the blessing of independence and democracy, reflects the people power revolution. The preamble's line, which asks Almighty God's help and urges the formation of regime of love in the Philippines, also indicates the impact of Christian religion in the country. Thus, the Philippine Constitution of 1987 is an intact, written, and rigid document. As for the relevance or significance of the written document as a primary source of the Philippine history, the 1987 Philippine Constitution is founded on key concepts that serve to ensure public sovereignty in government. It is vital because it acts as the country's backbone, establishes limits and boundaries on the government authority and role, as well as the amount to which it can impose laws and regulations on its people, as it lays out how those in powers or in position can be held accountable, and ensures that those who makes decisions on behalf of the Philippine people honestly and fairly represent the public opinion. The political structure of the Philippine history changes as one progresses, which can be divided into the following periods: the pre-Spanish period, Spanish period, American period, Japanese period, Republic period, martial law period, and Republic revival period. Before Spain colonized the Philippines, barangays or independent communities were the unit of government structures. The head of each barangay was known as Datu, who governed the barangays using customary and unwritten native rules. At present, when the Republic period was revived after the Bloodless Revolution, popularly known as the People Power or EDSA Revolution, made the Philippines once again a republic by the virtue of 1987 Constitution. Furthermore, the 1987 Constitution establishes a representative democracy with 3 distinct and independent branches of government, which are the executive, a bicameral legislature, and the judiciary.
In 1986, the EDSA People Power Revolution brought together millions of Filipinos from all walks of life to march along EDSA, Metro Manila's main artery, to terminate President Ferdinand Marcos's rule and usher in a new age of true freedom and democracy. The 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, which established a representative democracy with power divided among 3 separate and independent branches of the government: the executive, a bicameral legislature, and a judiciary, was approved by the 1986 Constitutional Commission on October 12, 1986, and was later delivered to President Corazon Aquino. Cecilia Palma, the president of the 1986 Constitutional Commission, was tasked with creating a new charter as a result of Proclamation No. 9, which was issued on April 23, 1986. The executive issuance provided instructions for the elections of members of the stated panel, as well as its limits and restrictions. Soon after the end of canvassing, President Corazon Aquino issued Proclamation No. 58, announcing the official results and the ratification of the new constitution. On February 11, 1987, the Constitution went into effect with the President, together with other civilians and members of the armed forces, swearing loyalty to the new charter. The intended audience were the Filipino people who are directly involved with the EDSA revolution in the present generation, wherein it shows that this constitution was created to give freedom to the oppressed and offer justifiable rights to everyone. Establishment of a new age of true freedom in a democratic country with power divided among 3 separate independent branches of the government: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. The content of the document was written by the constitutional commissioners with multiple provisions to ensure human rights and to be in line with the nature of the law. It was thoroughly assessed by multiple law implementers and then submitted to the current president during the event for ratification and consent of approval. If and only if it was approved, then it would be implemented and publicized so that the citizens of the Philippines would know about this new law or rule. After the People Power Revolution resulted in the current structure of the Philippine national government, the Philippine president, who is directly elected by the Filipino people and serves the government as 6-year terms, leads to the executive branch. Philippine presidents are enabled to seek re-elections. The House of Representatives and the Senate are the two chambers of the Philippine legislature. The district system or the party list technique are used to elect members of the House of Representatives. Lastly, the Philippine Supreme Court is the country's independent judicial branch.
This is Castaños, and now we will proceed to the close reading. So the significant points emphasized in the document is the formation of the three government branches, namely executive, legislative, and judicial branch. Article 6 of the Constitution gives Congress the power of investigation and inquiry in aid of legislation and a lot more. Article 7, on the other hand, specifies the President's qualification, tenure of office, election, and powers and functions. Lastly, the Supreme Court and other inferior courts as may be formed by law are given judicial power under Article 8 of the 1986 Constitution. These are specifically emphasized in the document in order to create an orderly system that is most beneficial for the people. The authors of this document did not leave out any certain arguments and information that is crucial in improving the government of the country. This is only natural because the president at that time wanted to make a new constitution ensuring democracy and the freedom of the Filipinos. Any details that were necessary in achieving this was included in this document to prevent any instances wherein the Filipinos would be taken advantage of.
Good day, sir. I am Tabuko, and here is the continuation of the close reading. The document was written during Corazon Aquino's presidency, during which she began by eliminating many of the Marcos-era rules that had long oppressed the Filipino people. Corazon was influenced by the events of Marcos' administration to issue a unilateral proclamation establishing a provisional constitution. The president was given extensive powers and considerable authority under this constitution, but Aquino swore to use them exclusively to restore democracy under a new constitution. That's why the 1987 Philippine Constitution was established. Pre-colonial politics contradict the claims of this document, for the government back then isn't as well established as the government the document wants the Philippines to have. Furthermore, there wasn't really a clear distinction of powers during this period, nor was there an existence of elections where we can say that the narrative politics is local applies. On the other hand, the post-war period politics complements the document so well, for there is a distinct division of powers between the three branches of the government, namely the executive, legislative, and the judicial branch. An election happens for the position of the people in executive and legislative power. Thus, the pre-colonial politics and post-colonial politics contradicts and complements the 1987 Philippine Constitution respectfully.
Hello sir, my name is Stu James Elian, and I'll be showing the table for the topics of politics is local, pre-colonial politics versus post-war politics. Starting off with the primary sources of the pre-colonial era relating to today's equivalent of the executive branch of the government would be the picture of Sultan Jamalul Kiram II. He is the last sultan of the Philippines, dating back from 1894 to 1915. The legislative body would be the Sultan of Jolo, along with his retainers in the island of Jolo, Philippines. The retainers, along with the Sultan, make up today's equivalent of the legislative branch. Next up is the hot water ordeal in the Ifugao culture. The hot water ordeal is one practice of the judiciary system during the pre-colonial period, where the one at trial would have to pick up hot stones in a pot filled with water to prove their case. For the post-war primary sources, the Philippine 1987 Constitution is highly used, with only different chapters to differentiate and separate the executive, legislative, and judiciary system of the Philippines. Book 2, under Distribution of Powers, Government, in Chapter 3, the executive powers is used as the primary source of the executive branch. Along with the same book, but this time Chapter 2 is used for the legislative branch of the government. Chapter 4 is for the judicial powers of the judicial branch.
To conclude, the 1987 Philippine Constitution brought the standards and tangibility of the matters in the government and society of the Philippines. This includes specifics regarding the three government branches: executive, legislative, and judiciary. An established structure of the leaders in these sectors will carefully distribute the task of supposed to be a one-person job, helping each other for quality service. This was possible because of the situation the people were experiencing that time, which was the overthrowing of President Ferdinand E. Marcos. There was a reform on how things were running, especially in these independent branches. With limitations in each department, there will be lesser manipulation and teaming up for an evil plan by the authorities. With many teams assigned to create and review this government document countless times, lesser errors existed. There is a clear evidence that the method of politics before had improved a lot, as seen in the effects after this constitution was approved and implemented. Instead of basing on pure strength and paid supporters in the pre-colonial times, there are certain requirements to meet before entering these branches. This is because they are the foundation and are critical to the country. When infiltrated by unfit and corrupt officials, questionable processes and budget allocation would be generated in no time. In order to have a good government, the people running it must have the credentials, integrity, and experience to handle such a heavy task. One should not be elected for being just famous, especially when it is unrelated and irrelevant to the job. However, despite this constitution offered about qualifications and jobs of the three government branches, marks of pre-colonial behavior of unwise voting are still observed in some. Hopefully, there will be improvements as people emerging are becoming critical thinkers of the future.
Good day, sir. Good day, everyone. I am Sir Hannah, and for our realizations in relation to our analysis of our primary source, I have come to realize that the Constitution can limit the government by enumeration or listing its powers. It creates a national government consisting of legislative, an executive, and a judicial branch, with a system of checks and balances among the three branches. Second, it divides power between the federal government and the states. And third, it protects various individuals' liberties of the citizens. Also, we have realized that throughout the Philippine history, we've learned and observed the beginning and development of our country, and that our country has a complex society. The Constitution enables students to remember and embrace their basic rights as people, and the basic principles by which our society has been organized. After analyzing our primary sources, we were able to nurture and gain a better understanding of our country's politics, which have considerably influenced us now.
I am Escobedo, and for other realizations, we have understood the importance of our history in terms of politics. Our local politics in the past has shaped our politics in the present into what it is now. Without it, it would never be the same. We have grasped the importance of the different documents in the past, which proves that Filipinos have long fought for their independence wholeheartedly. It amazes us how these documents, these sources from the past, can show us a lot of things and remind us how important it is to always look back at our country's history, as it is the key to progress. How these documents are being kept safe in museums and some other places to be shown to the younger generations is something that is so right in order for the future generations to never forget what their country has been through and what their ancestors had to go through to achieve what kind of country they have now.